The National Science Foundation has established requirements for the management of data generated by NSF-funded projects. Each time a research proposal is submitted to the National Science Foundation, a two-page description is required for how data will be managed. The specific requirements depend upon the NSF directorate. Different requirements are stated for social science versus physical science versus observational data versus software development. In Chapter 7 of the Policy Templates Workbook, an analysis of the NSF Data Management Plan requirements is presented. 12 sets of requirements from NSF directorates were examined. A total of 38 data management tasks were extracted that could be automated. A research proposal that used a policy set that automated all 38 tasks would be automatically in compliance with NSF data management requirements. Publication of such a policy set is one of the goals of the DataNet Federation Consortium. The policy set includes policies for enforcing required collection properties and verifying compliance with the required properties. A research project using the policy set could easily submit information that proves the data collection was being properly managed. The 38 tasks needed for the data management plans are shown here. The tasks are organized into 5 categories related to collection, analysis, storage, publication, and archive. Each task refers to management of a named entity. The tasks define the entities that must be managed, from research personnel to quality control to access controls to management of technology evolution. Also for each task, the type of persistent state variables that are needed to execute the task are categorized. State information is needed about user roles, budgets for storage costs, what is being organized in the collection, the types of instruments that are used, how frequently event information is updated, etc. Not all directorates have the same requirements. Chapter 7 of the Policy Template Workbook lists which tasks are needed by each directorate. Across the NSF directorates, the number of required data management tasks varied from 20 to 29. The average number was 25. An analysis was also done of 17 data management plans that had been submitted to NSF and other federal agencies. The two-page description limited the amount of detail each research project could specify. The largest number of tasks that were defined by a single research project was only 15 tasks. The smallest number was only 5 tasks. Chapter 7 of the Policy Templates Workbook provides an analysis of the 17 data management plans. The DMP tool provided by the California Digital Library and the Data One project provides a template for constructing data management plans. See dmptool.org. This provides links to NSF requirements, public DMPs, and an overview on creation of DMPs. The Data One website is dataone.org/data management planning. This provides an example DMP for the Mauna Loa Observatory, which records the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. A major area that was missing from the plans was how compliance with the data management plans would be verified. Each task needs a policy for how the task would be executed, policies for setting up the environment, and policies for verifying compliance. A task might require submission of a report, require execution of a data analysis, require enforcement of a management control, or require periodic verification. A common task across the NSF directorates was the identification of data that were reused from other projects. The NSF directorates wanted to track not only how the data products would be made publicly available, but also how the research projects were building upon prior NSF-funded research. A computer actionable rule could be implemented for most DMP tasks. An example is the creation of a policy to track storage costs for the data collection. The policy needs to define the cost factors for the storage system used to store the data and the database used to store the metadata. A rule is then created that applies the cost factors on the amount of storage, number of database attributes, and number of files to generate a total cost. A report can be generated periodically that tracks the cost. An example of a storage cost rule is shown here. The rule is available in Chapter 7.2 of the Policy Examples Workbook. The rule can be executed interactively by the data grid administrator. The rule checks the input variables for which collection to process and where the report should be written. The rule creates a log file for each execution, then loops over the files in the collection, adding up the costs. The results for size of storage, number of metadata attributes, and number of files is written into the report. This rule illustrates the standard rule template. Check input, issue a query, and execute operations on the result set. In this case, a nested query is done, one query to identify the files and a second query to identify the number of metadata attributes for each file. We will explore how to create such rules using the iRODS rule language in subsequent modules. Take 7 minutes to complete exercise 31. Identify a set of data management plan tasks from the NSF DMP list that are important for your collaboration. Use the Policy Templates Workbook, Chapter 7. Select at least 10 tasks that should be automated. Please load a paragraph describing your conclusions into the Lifetime Library in Subcollection Class INLS 624 by the end of today's class.